Daily trading review here for this Wednesday, the 5th of January, 2022. SPY, an overall market taking a bop in the nose here after FOMC minutes, the December minutes come out today, and the market obviously did not like it. And it's funny to see that, I guess the overall interpretation was that it's just going to be the same type of speeding up of the cutting back of the current monetary inflation-producing policies, which wasn't really surprised. I thought that that's what they were just going with the whole time. And even when they did come out with those assumptions and statements in previous times, it was actually became bullish news and the market was in favor of it. It started going up for some reason. And now apparently it's taking it right to the chin, said, no, we're taking a 1.8% down day on the SPY today after that release, but not on a crazy, insane amount of volume, not panicky type of volume. It's still sub 100 million shares of volume here as of right now on SPY, which isn't anything to say that that's not an insane amount of volume. And of course, comparing that type of, even though that is sub 100 million volume of shares compared to, that is a totally different dollar volume amount as compared to where we were trading at the start of last year, just for the price of the stock and the index itself that way. But yeah, interesting of dealing again with the rationale of what the market wants versus what is rational of rationality. That is trading itself. Let's get over some dollar volume on the day, just as for reference for some housekeeping. NASDAQ, $265 billion volume as of 8 minutes after the close here. Nice to see $352 billion volume. Good to see there. A little bump in pay. OTC's $2.4 billion volume traded on the day. Just kind of an overall red day for me, of course. Traded in and out of 3 tickers. Paper on some of them, paper on one of them for my secondary. But just, yeah, really not anything against. I was kind of convicted on one of them, but just ended up being in reflection today and overall just market sentiment of being short biased. There's just areas, and that's dealing with what trading is, of finding the correct time frame to be short biased and when the overall best time to be in, because I just love to be a part of that blanket statement to see all the first screen day movers that came up today. All of them just died straight out of the gate, and that's a profitable strategy for me that I can build off of and then go forward. But then it becomes it's not a scientific just rule set of, if it gets to this percentage point, trades this much dollar volume, it's this float, then it's going to do this precisely exactly. That's never going to happen. It's never going to be a scientific formula like I want it to be. But we can continue to just build upon those playbook patterns and understand the feel and intuition that needs to be there when stocks are moving during market hours and being able to adapt on the fly for when they're showing the signs that they're going to do something else. But just really overall, that's kind of just hippie talk out there, just very broad paint strokes of trying to apply what I was seeing today in the market. But again, it was just learning off of Jack number 2 as well, of just kind of pushing my level up there again of, man, there's certainly a lot more opportunity and room for me to be playing shorts a lot of these, even if it is paper, but still being in the process of taking shorts in a lot of these big percentage movers and understanding when, where, and why we need to be shorting into these spikes, what type of spikes are actually shortable into, what spikes are actually the buildup of potential bigger steps off of those legs. Lots of different things to. It is a grind. It's a continual buildup on itself in this trading career, but that's what we are here for. So red day today on the P&L scale, but certainly building that knowledge account up every single day. Let's get into it starting on WEJO. This is a beautiful, seeing this one pop up on the scanner yesterday, this is one of those beautiful not an overnight, but an after hours squeeze, and then look to play just pretty much precisely what it did today. Like, that is the type of playbook pattern trade that I have memorized for this specific setup. It's this one specifically, it's a 10 million flow British software company, and the news catalyst yesterday was they got some nice autonomous driving software that's helping progress the movement of EVs and autonomous driving. Nothing specific there, and then just as reference for $17.80 borrow fee for those 200 shares that I was trading through Trade Zero. That's it for fundamentals of, so this is that's what I would call a pristine, beautiful little representation of what I want to see as this type of playbook trade, where it's pretty much the spike is all the volatility and upside that's there to meet this chart, and just it's going to be continually met with, and this one was met with bleeding right after right within that time frame of the spike after that news catalyst. Just kind of had death that whole rest and stayed below VWAP the rest of that after hours. And pre-market today did not have a lot of volume coming into it, and then sold off very, very hard even before market hours there, and then kind of bottomed again here a little bit, and then a little perk here above VWAP. That was a test, and I didn't even mark on here, but I also took this one paper short as well, shorting into a little VWAP rejection, potential short here that I got faked out on. Was trading, got short just shy of 760, and then was cutting just as it was popping up again above 760 there. That was another fake out again that I got faked out as well on a real trade on that first one in pre. But this is the trade. This was the chart idea that I was going for, and I just mishandled it a little bit to say that I did mishandle it, but it was also, I was respecting the trade plan that I had in my head of what I felt I could hold myself accountable to for what the chart was saying at the time. I knew it was going to be very speculative and kind of risky, already shorting again as it's on these lows, as it's already so far from VWAP still, as it's, the first entry here was really me looking to play off of this little double top or rejection there, and then look to find a new low below $7. It's asking a lot, but I thought the potential was there. As it gets double toppy here, pretty much dips right after that entry, slapping another entry with another 100 shares at this little relative double hop, 730-ish double top. Did I say double hop? At 730-ish, looking again for that same type of move that had this not stopped me out by just fractions of a cent of it building just too nicely with too little volume for me to say, gosh, this is just building a little bit too beyond what I thought was going to happen for the trade idea. So holding myself accountable to that same pattern that I have been for the past few weeks now of, man, if it's not really following along, if it's just the vibe is not right for what you thought it should do, cut it, move on to the next one, or cut it and reevaluate is the bigger picture on that. And that's what I was doing, and this is one of those great examples of kind of the crutch of that syndrome of, I got faked out. I got stopped out just barely too soon on this first trade, and it ended up working against me. But had I still been in this trade, I would have seen it fall to another little relative low here. It didn't break to a new low of 7, and still been in the trade, and then it kind of dunks here within the first 2-3 minutes of market open, then bounces off of there at that point, and gosh, yeah, when and where I would have been stopping myself out on. Would have seen this little 7-4 rejection here and big red candle following that and thinking, okay, great, that was the little morning spike, but sure enough, it starts to build back again off of that. Would I have been holding into a potential VWAP rejection trade? Gosh, yeah, this is why I definitely started initially to be cutting these types of trades very early on and not just allow them to go to ever expanding risk levels, because I could totally identify this VWAP rejection trade here and say, hey, I'll give you my normal risk level. Had I still been in this trade and not got faked out here, would have still been this little 7-3 high to say. And then as it's spiking there, just kind of tapping and then rejecting, I would go, oh, okay, sweet. So now it's working, that double top there again. But then sure enough, it starts spiking and building with a little bit more volume. And I could have totally seen myself allowing it to, I could see it, bouncing off of VWAP here. I don't want to get out too soon, and just always increasing that risk level. And then just totally been screwed over, stopped out as it kind of had this, again, fake out VWAP rejection, little higher leg push that ended up being the top for the move of that morning volatility. Really just overall, the takeaway for this one is this is the market. This is trading. It's going to stop you out. It's going to get emotional. I could have certainly traded it better. And I think the key sentiment for me on this one is, gosh, even through the paper trading that I was taking short, man, I was getting faked out there. It's not even an emotional aspect of that I was trading actual dollar size on this one. It's just these types of trades, because it was so far down for this one chart specifically today, I think this just has to come as a type of chart to suggest that we need to be either playing these charts from such a higher advantage point, or either not playing them at all and be willing to let them go until a key moment and point truly says that, hey, this is the opportune time to get in. This is the trade here. Not just I think I knew this was going to be an A+ setup for the dumpage all day, not only in pre-market today, but in market hours. But the timing of which and when I could have gotten in, that is shorting. Shorting is timing in everything. And I think misplaying the timing there and kind of just forcing a I even graded myself as a D for execution trade on what was a B idea for what I thought was going to happen versus what the chart actually happened today. Not an A or an A plus setup for little fake outs and wikis that it did have and how hard it did actually sell off an opportune, just pristine sit there. I got it graded as a B because the opportunity was still there, but it just wasn't exactly lining up with everything I thought it was. That just can't happen. I can't match a crappy execution or just kind of a forced trade on not even really an A or an A plus setup, because sometimes you can definitely get away with just horrible, terrible executions and entries and exits. And that's what I did a lot starting in 2020 of starting this trading career of everything was moving 1,000% and I could just luck out because I know if wherever I bought it, it was going to go up, and the same for the reverse, vice versa. But that becomes so much more evident in these types of charts that timing is everything. And entries and exits are becoming the key factors of, it really doesn't, because I could have taken this thing short from this point, held through this stupid level, and turned this into a 2-3% winner versus what I took it at for a 2% loss. It's just little things like that that become major things for what actually matters at the end of the day is that P&L is, did you make money or did you not make money? It really doesn't matter if the chart was there, if, what type of pattern it was building on the candlestick. The bank really doesn't care. It's just about, is there money coming in or is there not money coming in at the end of the day? So that's really what we got to hold ourselves accountable there to. Just kind of going broad spectrum again with that build-up and review of this trade in itself, and learning lessons all around. And I can relate this one as well to, also had on the watch SENS. This is a former runner, huge float on this one, over like 300 million, I believe. And some news catalyst yesterday that relating it to what WEJO did today of, I would normally like to see just an immediate and pure spike from that after hours news, but this one was a little bit building, a little bit higher of a percentage move as compared to WEJO, but did follow along similar to what I like to see, that it's pretty much exhausted after that. Whatever it wants to do, there's little fake outs here of, we think it's a top being put in and a little bull flag, but then it has another leg upwards. But really, once that sentiment is in, that the parabolic move is over, that is it for the long pushes anywhere, and it just becomes a slow, gradual fade. This one definitely had a harder sell-off right out of the gate for the morning session, but even that whole morning volatility, nice percentage moves there for profit. And that's kind of what the chart I was looking for to do on WEJO, not really any looking to short, like kind of comparing it to a similar thing of getting short anywhere around these little triple tops, playing it from a 3-2 standpoint, going into market hours, seeing this dump, getting a nice cover within these candles here. That was the type of thesis on WEJO today, but just didn't happen. That's how it rolls. HOTH was the next one I wanted to mention. I did not trade this one, but this was a second day play that I was so ready and waiting for a short into a morning spike, looking for just any move higher. If we could get a little tap to 113, I thought it even potentially had the legs. Let's get a little tap to 120 here. Let's get a move there. I was order entries ready, order windows ready to reserve shares, and it just did not happen. The thought was coming in my mind of, okay, as it's opening below VWAP here, now it's getting a little rise, tapping 110 here. Okay, maybe I should start to reserve. I'm looking to reserve 1,000 shares. Maybe I reserve the 1,000 shares and start to take the position of 500 shares here at this point, just to ensure that eliminate the FOMO, but also say, hey, I think this is a potential VWAP rejection trade here as well. I think it could start dumping to new low days. Sure enough, it does. Has another little fake out VWAP break attempt, but again, starts to continue to break to new lows from there. And gosh, it just continues that slow little grind, and it becomes that slow crawler that just continues to pound your face over and over again, like, haha, you missed me. And it's just like, I can't chase you or get in. But luckily enough for me, I was able to have that restraint that maybe I should have applied a little bit more to WEJO, of be willing to let these things go and just understand that even if it is an A plus setup, is it worth putting a D execution on it? Is it worth putting an F execution on it? In some cases, it's really not. With these A plus setups, you can absolutely get away with that 100%. But when it starts to become a B setup or a C setup, that's when you really see the factors lining up that, man, you have to be dialed in, prepared, sniper level execution on these. in order to actually pull any money out of it. That's just what this game is. So no trade there, but good lesson on being able to just be willing to let it go and seeing the trades happening right in front of you and just not being willing to chase and push that button. That is restraint in itself, and that is trading as well for me. GNPX was my next one. Third day play, a little sell-off kind of rest day that it had on the second day yesterday, which I liked, enjoyed. Very nice first screen day on Monday, that was. This is American Biotech, 40 million float. They do have huge old shelf left from July of 2020, 162 million buckaroonies left there, but does it come out today? That's just anybody's guess. That comes out in that level 2 in time and sales. That's really where it becomes evident that, okay, yeah, some of it's there today, or that they could just unleash it on the market at any point and eventually become a factor on the price action. I did have a little news catalyst as well at 8 that they're going to be in some health conference, but just did not add anything to the volume or price action there. Just a little farter-rooney. But any little helps of trying to get a surge or trying to get a little short squeeze. It's not an insanely low floater for that 40 million float, but hey, it's building on some nice little levels here. Put in higher low off of the bottoms there yesterday. We do have that $3 psychological level that could be an attractive magnet there potentially to be selling into had I been as I was establishing a long position for the style trade. I first started in pre with a very speculative, starting in with 100 shares, just off of a kind of random, like, I don't think it's going to happen from here, but I think it's just holding in 270 level. So I'll start in here at this point to look if we start to break higher to 2.8 area, where the probability for the trade will, of course, be a lot higher and increase from there, but ended up taking a cent loss as it was just breaking that little volume, and there was really no volume to support any trade thesis in pre-market today on that. Had a little dump out of the gate, and then turned this thing into a triple bottom, and I did not see it until it was already spiking again to the upside of VWAP, and I can relate it now to the same thing of WEJO of, okay, this, I could see a setup happening from this. This one certainly did not follow along with anything what I thought it was going to do as I was going along into this perk, but the same thing of the far better trade if I was going to trade this one for a move higher and be a speculative trade before an eventual breakout or third day surge happened to that $3 profit target area would have been to play off of this triple bottom. But of course I'm missing it, and then I'm just barely seeing it as it's climbing above VWAP, and it's still below high of day from that first minute candle. Then trying to get an entry in at that point, and then immediately pretty much tanking off of there. I get 1-2 cents that it goes after my entry, and then just rejects and immediately dumps after that, and I'm stopped out immediately, taking a kind of stupid little loss that I really shouldn't have taken. It just adds on to nothing. It really was nothing, and I managed my size well. That's why I took a smaller size on this one, because I knew it was very speculative itself. But yeah, it's just a head scratcher. Looking back, I have to give myself an F for the idea on this trade, because it was not there at that point that I was trying to trade it, and even for the execution that I was doing of how I should have restrained myself, like the HOTH of, okay, yeah, I can see it potentially going from here. If it does start to spike, if it does start to create new high day, start to already track to 2.8, okay, then we can still get into that point, and we'll take a little bit of slippage. We'll slip a few cents there, but that is a higher probability trade of looking to sell into that $3 area and potentially beyond that point, versus what I was doing of just buying the tops and selling the bottoms, rejections. Very, very stupid. Yeah, D grade for execution. I can't give myself an F because I was cutting it when it turned into a loser and just not risking low a day and just being stupid with that execution. But still, at that, just, yeah, kind of a bonehead, scratch my head, trying to force a lot out of nothing with this trade. With nothing coming out of it, no sign of any hope for that trade actually working out. Learning lessons all around in that one. The next one, last one, was IMMX. This is third day play as well. Very, very low float biopharma. Really like that first screen day move that we had. Of course, it did have that little sell-off in the afternoon session on that first screen day, but second day pre-market reclaimed pretty well, but then sold off in that market hours price action there. Just still hovering, though, continuing to put in these lows here. We see low here being put in, then market hours for that second day, low again, continuing to climb there into after hours. Pre-market holding decently, having a little perk riding above VWAP into the morning bell. And then just kind of choppy, just dumping around. That is the head banging into the wall, trying to trade or scalp this type of price action. Of course, you get these little rejections and sell-offs. And again, similar type of thing that, matches the theme for how I was trading on the day of, man, I'm seeing the move here and 7.5, a $0.5 key psychological level, and potentially an area of inflection. Of course, this little double top intraday, but also as a little point of, maybe call it a little point of inflection from that first day, and that second day didn't follow it hard anywhere, but okay, maybe there's some there. Volume profile shows a little bit point of influence at that point, but gosh, yeah, okay, we got a few cents after there, but really, what was I looking for? I mean, I was looking for a black swan event for this thing to just continue spiking. It is a very low floater. I got to give it that, and it moved very nicely on that first screen day. But again, it's been a while since we've had a crazy mover for the move that I was expecting on this play. Buying it at 7.5, expecting to be selling in at least a minimum of $8 as a profit target area, and looking for a break above this 870 higher there on that first day. I mean, those were the ideas that were floating in my head for that style of trade. But gosh, and reflection again of just sometimes I'm looking at these now, and this one was just another reminder of I got to be short in these things. How many times have these little double tops happen, or these long attempts from me happen that just become great shorting opportunities of just huge backsides slapping these things? NTRB immediately comes to my mind right now of just how many times that thing got slapped from overhead coming from somewhere, that they just absolutely rocked the world of these longs, these speculative longs like me, just buying these things almost so far up. And again, relating it to GNPX of, had I been wanting to trade that type of thesis, if I really wanted to be speculative and I really was trying to play off of that style of trade, looking to be selling into the breakout, then the trade entry would be above VWAP here, or like to this time frame of 130ish to 215ish. That would be here, just as it's above VWAP of that little bottom, as it's holding so well, and it gets this little fake out green candle break of 710 area there, and then again starts to climb from that point. That's the entry point for that style of trade. That's a beautiful trade, actually. All the way from 710ish, 720ish, selling into 7.8 there. That is a beautiful trade in itself. And, awesome if it does what I thought my trade thesis was going to be of, okay, if it ends up going to that $8 level area and selling into that maybe, or just get a little 820 little run as well. But even at that, if this is all the chart is, all the move is for that afternoon session, so be it. That's a beautiful trade in itself. And so that's, again, for idea on the grade. I grade on the idea for this trade of, okay, I can give it a C for what I was thinking of. It did not follow anywhere along what I thought it was going to do, but okay, we did get a little bit of a move. It did break this intraday double top. It offered just a little slice, and I can identify now, okay, there was far better opportunity at this little VWAP hold for a move in the afternoon session, but execution-wise, I gave myself a D. For just chasing this little 750 push, again, just kind of seeing green and going, oh, time to buy. It's double top area time. And then just for what I was taking off here in this 780 push, I'm just not my brightest day of trading all around for this afternoon trade, especially, which I have not traded in the afternoon for a great little while. And I really don't track a lot of afternoon setups that way either. So yeah, that's really nothing really hard on me for the scanners as of right now that I'm so convicted on for tomorrow or afternoon or overnight here for today. But I think great lessons and great review time for me to just look at these charts and look at my trades and then come back to say, hey, I think these types of trades are what got me down the path that eventually made me start to go back to that paper trading route that I started to do late November. And I do not want to be going into those same ruts again. So if that does entail me taking a little tiny step back, I did take a step forward from that paper trading aspect and now getting sizing back into normal trades. But okay, maybe this should be a little bit of a reminder. It is one day of trading, and of course a huge, terrible, crazy red day on the SPY itself on the overall market. But again, okay, maybe I do not have to rush this. This is a marathon, not a sprint of, okay, let's go back to taking like half of the trades we want to take on the day, making them paper, and taking very small size on the actual trades that we do make, and continuing to not focus so hard on the value of the day trades and not wasting a day trade, but just continuing to hey, I see a potential short here. Let's not use a day trade, but let's trade that. And okay, shoot, we're out of day trades. Let's do it paper then. Day trade, having a day trade does not matter whatsoever. Is there a pattern there to short that I see and recognize? Okay, then let's play it. There is no debate anymore of, okay, well, I have one day trade left in this account, but I don't really want to take it because if I get faked out, then I won't be able to get back in. There's no more of that anymore. It's just going to be, okay, is there a pattern here? Let's take it. And then again, on top of that, there's not going to be a battle of, oh, well, I really don't want to cut this one because it could like fake out here, and I don't want to cut it and then try to get back in because I don't have a day trade. There is no more of that. It's just totally going to be at the whim of what the chart is saying for potential trades there versus how I was holding myself and how the world wants me to believe that there's some value in money itself and there's some value in these day trades. It's just a lie and a fallacy. Great learning lessons. And again, like a great red day for the reflection of the P&L of, man, for how atrocious I was grading myself on the execution side and for the ideas of trades that I was trading, to have this kind of loss day P&L wise for the type of green day that I had yesterday. I'll take that all the time for how terrible it was today. Yeah, certainly going in the right direction that way of just not making stupid and crazy losses even through the terrible execution grades and idea grades there. Still building upon that factor going forward in this trading career. I'm excited for it. Building every single day and looking for the positive in all of that as well. That's just what I continue to harp on in everything. Dealing with reality and what the truth is, hey, we're losing a lot of money and we're not having a great win rate, or hey, we're doing great and we have a great win rate. Dealing in reality, but then also, yeah, of course, having to keep that positive mindset that it is a marathon, not a sprint. And it's not, this Rome is not going to be built in one trading day. I'm not going to be making my $1 million here in one trading day. It's going to be built over a lot more trading days to come. So it is a continual battle each and every single day. That is all I got. I sincerely thank you guys for watching. We will catch you guys on the next one.